If you saw someone riding on a cloud, you'd probably think that they were pretty special. But would you think that they were God? Or would you think maybe they're an angel or something like the Silver Surfer? Hi, I'm Jack. Welcome to this video. Today I want to talk about what the Bible means when it says riding on the clouds and what it's saying about the person doing it. Now, riding on the clouds is something that you can find in ancient Near Eastern religion. So Baal rides on the clouds. And in ancient Near Eastern religion, the only people that ride on clouds are the gods. People don't ride on clouds. The Bible uses this phrase as well to talk about God. When the Bible uses this phrase to talk about God riding on the clouds, the writers are disagreeing with their neighbours, the Canaanites that worship Baal, and they're saying there's only one that rides on the clouds. There's not Baal, there's not all these other gods that have heavenly chariots, but there's only one. So they say things like in Deuteronomy 33:26, "There is none like God, O Jeshurun, who rides the heavens to help you, and his excellency on the clouds." So Jeshurun, that's a nickname for Israel. It's like a nickname meaning righteous one. So there's none, Israel, like your God, who rides on the clouds, who rides in the heavens. Other examples of God riding on the clouds, like Psalm 104:3. He makes the clouds his chariot. He rides on the wings of the wind. In the Old Testament, only God is presented as the only one who rides on clouds. Until you get to Daniel chapter 7, where something strange happens. Daniel is having a vision that he finds very confusing. There's all these beasts coming out of the sea. But then a figure that he says is like a son of man comes riding on the clouds and is given a kingdom and a dominion that will last forever. And all of the nations worship this figure or serve this figure. Daniel finds it confusing. But he says one like a son of man. Now, a son of man a son of man means human. It's a Hebrew idiom, and it means human. But he didn't say he saw a son of man riding on a cloud. He saw one like a son of man. So he's confused about what he's seeing. He's like, this person I see appears to be human, but he's riding on the clouds. So how can he be riding on the clouds like God? Only God rides on the clouds. And yet he's human. How can he be God and human? Daniel is confused by the vision, so he asks for an explanation. And an angel explains to him that these beasts represent empires that God is going to judge. And then God is going to give a kingdom to his holy people. But the one who is going to be worshipped or served by the nations, the king, is not the holy people, but God himself. So the one like a son of man is in the vision, he's the king that receives the worship or the service of the nations. And then in the explanation of the vision, the one who receives the service or the worship of the nations, the one who is the king with an everlasting kingdom that lasts forever, is the Most High, God himself. So I think it doesn't really clear things up for Daniel. I think he's still confused. But then, when we get to the New Testament, we start reading about Jesus, there's a bit more clarity. Jesus is God. John calls him the Word who was with God and who was God, who came and dwelt among us. Jesus is God incarnate, God made a man. Jesus is both a son of man and also God himself. Jesus' favourite title for himself in the Gospels is the Son of Man. Now notice he's not calling himself a son of man. If he'd said, I'm a son of man, that would mean I'm a human. But when he says I'm the Son of Man, he's identifying himself with a specific figure. Not just as a human, but as this specific figure from Daniel 7 that is the king of the world and is served or worshipped by all the nations and has a kingdom that lasts forever. This figure who comes riding on the clouds, like only the God of Jeshurun can ride on the clouds. Now, Jesus even pairs the title. He calls himself the Son of Man many times in the Gospels, but sometimes he says, you will see the Son of Man come riding on the clouds. So Jesus is identifying himself with this figure who rides on the clouds. One time in Mark 14, verses 60 to 62, Jesus uses this identification for himself, the Son of Man. He says, you will see the Son of Man riding on the clouds, while he's speaking to the high priest. And the high priest's reaction tells you all you need to know. The high priest tears his robe and says, you've heard this blasphemy yourselves. And he believes Jesus deserves to be killed for the blasphemy that he's just heard. How has Jesus blasphemed apart from that he is claiming to be God? He's equating himself with the God who rides on the clouds. There was, at the time, people would struggle to interpret this Daniel 7 scene. And one of the theories that was being shared was the theory of two powers in heaven. That there's this Ancient of Days and the one like a Son of Man that approaches the Ancient of Days. And that somehow there's one God, but two personalities communicating and working together to rule the world and reveal himself to his creation. Now, today Jewish people reject that theory as a heresy, which was in reaction to Christians with Trinitarian theology. But during Jesus' lifetime, it hadn't been condemned as a heresy. It was a theory that some believed. And the high priest recognizes this theory when Jesus equates himself with this figure that rides on the clouds. And the high priest thinks this is blasphemy for a man to equate himself with God. So what does it mean when Jesus describes himself as riding on the clouds? Jesus is making a claim to be equal with God the Father. He's presenting himself as God. He's presenting himself as the king of the world, the ruler of creation, the king who will reign forever. Now, as we hear this, we have a choice to make. Jesus is claiming to be our rightful king. Are we going to be like the high priest who tears his robes and says, you deserve to die for this blasphemy? Or are we going to recognize that he is the king, that he will come riding on the clouds, and that his kingdom will last forever, and prepare ourselves by worshipping and serving him now? Thanks for watching. If you're interested in finding out more about Jesus claiming to be God, I've got another video on the topic, and also a Bible reading plan you can look at. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, share the video. I'll see you next time.